Welcome to this daily guided meditation practice. This is the Attentive Mind. My name is Nathan, and I'll be guiding you through this meditation practice today. Find yourself a seated position. Any position works. Of course, the goal, as always, with these practices is to find somewhere that is comfortable and stable. You don't want to feel the need to shift around during the practice because you sat incorrectly, but you also don't want to feel a sense of instability where you feel like you're about to fall over. Just find what works for you. This is also an open eye meditation practice. We don't close our eyes here. However, if you have learned to practice with your eyes closed or you feel more comfortable doing so, feel free to do so. There are no hindrances. But if your eyes are open, go ahead and just leave the screen alone and drop them down gently on the floor or the desk or whatever is just below you. We're not staring or analyzing anything. We're also not zoned out and blurry. We just have a gentle, clear gaze directed softly downwards. You're in a nice, comfortable position, sturdy, and your eyes are either closed or open, directed softly downwards. Take stock. How do you feel right now? Do you feel lonely, happy, frustrated, anxious? Whatever it is, just notice how the body and your emotional state is right now. Just feel the body as it is right here and be completely honest with how you feel. Now, whatever it is, possibly if you're normal, it's some sort of suffering like anxiety or depression or frustration or restlessness. Whatever it is, though, just allow it to be exactly as it is. In other words, let the sensations, the direct experience of whatever it is the body feels and the emotion that is felt, allow it to just be there without naming it, without calling it something, just noticing it without wanting it to go away. Now, go ahead and just leave this sensation alone and bring your attention to the coming and going sensations of the breath. You could feel it in the tip of the nose, the chest, the lower belly, or anywhere in between. Just find where you feel the breath the most. And simply watch it without getting distracted. And I'm probably catching you thinking already, distracted from the breath, contemplating something or planning something. You were no longer paying attention to the breath. And this is okay. Simply return to it. We're not concentrating on the breath. We're not forcing our attention to the breath. We're just lightly aware of breathing and allowing thoughts to come and go as they please. In other words, letting thoughts think what they want to. And we just simply and gently remain with the sensations of breathing, rising and falling. Come back, come back to breathing. Now go ahead and just leave this breath alone and return back to the body in its emotional state. Has anything changed since we began this practice? What happened to that persisting emotion that you recognized just a few minutes before this? Maybe it's completely gone. Maybe it's still there. Maybe it's even stronger. Whatever it is, just look without naming, without calling it something. What is the direct experience of emotion, of pain, of suffering? Where do you feel this emotion in the body? And notice what happens to it when you start trying to pay attention to it. How it seems to evade our direct awareness. How somehow, once we start to look at the suffering we have, the emotion we have, it seems to dissolve by simply looking at it. And not dissolve because we want it to dissolve, but dissolving because there was really nothing substantial there in the first place. So just recognize this and allow everything to be exactly as it is. Simply rest. All right, you can look at the screen. You know, a lot of our problems, like pain, suffering, worry, frustration, doubt, anger, fear, you know, all the things that we all go through. And a lot of these, what we call suffering, is kind of sticks around, you know. Like if you have a anxiety disorder, it just keeps showing up, it keeps showing up, it keeps showing up. Or depression, or any kind of thing like that. Melancholy. It keeps showing up. And it shows up over and over again because it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing about the mind, but because we're running from it, we don't want it. And it's understandable to not want some negative emotion. It feels bad, and we'd rather be happy. So we run from it. But when we do that, we're just perpetuating the illusion of it. We're not seeing it for what it really is. We kind of say, oh, let's say, for me, a lot of things that show up is just an anxiety, obsessively thinking about something. And to say that shows up and I'm like, oh, here it comes again. I don't want this. Like, okay, well, let's think of something positive to get away from it. That very running away, that contrast just creates this vacuum to where it just comes right back in, and we're liable to get panic attacks or, depressive states and stuff like that. When I was a kid, there was we were at some mall. I was very young. I think I was like 5 or 6. We were at this mall, and there was this guy doing a show in a toy store. And there are all these children around him, maybe like 30 or so, just watching this guy playing with this toy. And he, of course, worked there. And he was playing with this incredible looking worm, and it seemed to just kind of dance between his hands, and it was like his little pet. He'd be like, "Come here," and they would like come up to him, and then he would run around, and it would slither through his fingers, and it was the most incredible thing. I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I looked at my parents, I was like, "Please, can I get this? Let me get this." So they bought it for me. And on the car ride home, I open it up, and I see that this worm, expecting it to jump out of the box and say hello to me, was actually this contraption on a string. And you put it inside your belt, and the string comes out here, and you just kind of pull it like this to make it look like it's moving. And boy, was I disappointed. But at the same moment I was disappointed, I was no longer fooled. For what I thought was alive and this kind of thing that was real, I see it for what it is, and I'm not fooled by it anymore. And it's the same thing with our feelings and emotions. Our feelings and emotions seem to be alive and real, and this thing that is just happening, and I need to solve it. Like, let me feel better. Tell me whatever I have to do. And because of that, we're not looking at it. We're not seeing that it's just this thing on a string that's fake. It's unsubstantial. So if you're ever suffering or frustrated, just take it, just before you react, just pause for a second. What is it? Okay, I call it depression. Okay, what does that even mean? I feel a sense what are the atoms of that experience? When I stop talking about it in my head, what is it? Come back to the breath and look. What is it? So the next time you're suffering, which will happen probably today, instead of reacting, just look. What is it really? Thank you for showing up today, everyone. Thank you for showing up for your life. And of course, as always, I'll see you tomorrow.